Hey guys, welcome to Home Sweet Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom to one. And in today's video, we're going to do some homeschool reflections. I like to call it our hits and misses of the past homeschool year. So if you're interested in that, stick around for our hits and misses of the 2023-2024 homeschool year. But before we get into that, I do want to mention that this video is a part of a collaboration hosted by Davine over at Calm in the Chaos Homeschool and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. So be sure to check out their channels as well as the playlist that will be linked in the description below. And you can check it out and see other homeschool reflections for the year. Now, I am going to do this in two parts. I'm going to have a part one, which is today's video, and then next week's video is going to be part two. And the reason why I'm doing that is when I stacked up everything that we had covered this year, it was a mound of things. And if I sit here and I talk about all of this in one video, you're going to be here all day and you don't have all day to watch a video of me talking. So I've just kind of split it up. I'm going to cover some things in this one, some things in the next one, and I hope that is okay with you. I do want to start off our video and say, if you have a child that is coming up into the high school years or you're thinking about long-term homeschool and you're nervous about high school, don't be. I want to say that ninth grade overall was a hit. Yes, I was kind of worried about it because, you know, everybody's like, oh goodness, you've got to start keeping grades and you need to worry about a transcript and you need this and you need that. And I'm like, okay, I'm used to paperwork. I'm used to keeping track of what's being done. I was a teacher in the public school system. I know how to follow rules and regulations. And so I don't know why I got so wrapped up in that and was so scared about that, because really just keeping track of what you're doing is important. And you should be doing that anyway, whether you keep grades or not. So I don't want you to be scared of the approaching homeschool years. I want you to know that our ninth grade year was a hit. Yes, up front, I did sit down and look at the requirements for high schoolers in our state. I looked at college entrance requirements. I've done all those things, and I've kind of just made a loose plan on a piece of paper of what that might look like for my son, because I do think it's important to have direction, to know that if he wants to go to college, we've given him the best possible opportunity. Now, whether he does that or not, that's up to him. But don't be afraid of homeschooling high school. It is possible. You can do it. And you're probably already keeping records right now, so it's not really going to be much different. Okay, so ninth grade was a hit. We enjoyed it. I really can't say anything bad about our year. It was just another great year of homeschooling and spending time with each other. Has it been a trying year? Absolutely. If you don't know, my mom was diagnosed with cancer back in December, but I have a praise report. She is doing wonderful. She has 3 more treatments to go. Then she'll have a brief period where she'll have to take off from chemo to have a lumpectomy, and then she will do maintenance chemo. But her cancer is maintainable, is treatable, and she's going to be okay. And so if you're praying for her, if you have been, thank you so much. Please continue to pray for her. She is doing wonderful. So while this year has been hard in that sense, it's also been a really, really good year. So don't be afraid to homeschool high school. Ninth grade was a hit. We're excited for 10th grade. So let's get into hits and misses for the year. Now, I'm going to start with math. If you've been around here, you know that for the past few years, we've been using Learn Math Fast. My son has ADHD. Teaching textbooks and things like that, any online type class like that, did not work for him. He would listen to the little video. He would just click through it, and I don't think he learned a thing when we tried it. So he really wanted some no-nonsense math, and this is it, guys. If you're looking for something that's going to just quickly teach your kids how to do math, Learn Math Fast is probably the thing for you. A lot of people use it as a supplement. We use it as our core. It works fine for us. So we actually finished up Algebra 1 this year, and we will be using it next year. If you haven't watched my curriculum picks for next year, I can link that down below too, and you'll see that we're going to use it again for next year. We actually started with their first level, and we'll be going into geometry next year. So we really like Learn Math Fast. I mean, it is very simple. I love the simplicity of it. Black and white, no fluff. It is written conversationally. It is so easy to understand. It was easy for me to teach to him because he likes that. So I just made him a little notebook. He just had like a little 3-ring binder, and I would give him a notebook sheet of paper because I want him to know how to take notes. And so I would teach the lesson out of the book. He would take notes, and then he would work on his sheet. And so I like to, because he has ADHD, I do split these things up. He does get overwhelmed very easily. And so I would print, when you get Learn Math Fast, you can write directly in this book if you want to, but you can also go online. They give you a password, and you can print the worksheets from the book and supplemental worksheets. And so that's what I did for most of them. So like, here's the one out of the book, and then this was supplemental. And so what I did for the week is I would see how many problems there were, and I would just split them up into 3 days, and I would just highlight, like, this would be our first day, and then anything in the pink box would be our second day, or something like that. So he would have his note-taking page, and then he would, throughout the week, just work on whatever it was, whatever they're asking him to do. And so that worked out beautifully for him. We love Learn Math Fast. He did great with Algebra 1. He wasn't really sure about it, and he was glad when it was over. I mean, math's not his favorite thing. I'm not saying he would pick to do this, like if he was bored, but it works really good for him. And I think it's because of his ADHD. He likes this no-nonsense approach to math. So math was a hit. We love Learn Math Fast. All right, let's talk about health. We did health. We actually been working on this for probably 2 years, because sometimes we would do it once a week, sometimes twice a week. I just wanted him to have like a baseline health credit. I mean, I think about my health in high school, and it was really no more than this. We love master books, and we think Living Healthy was a hit. Very, very simple, short, sweet, to the point lessons. Of course, I appreciate, if you hadn't already seen my other videos, I definitely appreciate the suggested daily schedule. That's where I kept up with all of his grades and checked off when we did the lesson. I love those. I think anybody would like this. This is really fun and easy lessons. I'll just show you one of the lessons. Unit 1's about exercise. They do have like the bold words. I don't think I ever did a flip through of this. So if you're interested, I guess I could do that. I don't know if I've shown it or not. You'll have to let me know. I don't know if I've done one or not. But you read a little bit about why would I want to exercise, and then there is a place for scripture copy work. Then you always have some type of exercise to do. He goes to karate multiple times a week. He also does weightlifting, so he of course is not going to do all these exercises, but it would be a good way to get your kids up and moving. And then they have little activities. So this was a crossword puzzle. They do different things each time. There's also a place if you wanted to do a persuasive speech. And they're all kind of set up like that. A lesson, and then an activity. So this one was to circle your favorite ways to exercise, then your scripture copy work. And then your activity was walking. And then this is to track your exercise. There's a chart in the back of the book. We did not do it, but I will show you. We didn't do everything in here. Let me see if I can find it. There's supposed to be a chart back here. Yeah, here you go. Here's your track your exercise chart. He gets enough exercise. We don't worry about that. But there's a place to track your exercise. And what else is back here? Just different things you're going to need. There's also your answer key is in the back of this book. So sometimes in master books, you have to have the teacher's guide too. But this is just all together. Your answer key and everything the kids are going to need are just in this book. So this was a hit. He did the little unit checks and did great on them. So I could give him a credit for health. I wanted him to take the test and everything. So if you're looking for a very simple health curriculum that is very good, then I recommend Living Healthy. All right, let's see. Let's talk about film study. So I'm going to just pull up this folder. Film study was something he chose as an elective, and we really did it for half a year, August to December, and then we stopped and we wanted to do something else. Oh, and that reminds me, I didn't bring something down here. I'll just talk about it in a minute. So what I did is we just picked, like, he loves Steven Spielberg. So we read the Who Was book about him. He already knew a ton about him anyway because he's very interested in film. But we read that, and then we just kind of picked different movies. Can you believe my son had never seen Jaws? I thought everybody in the world had seen Jaws. So we watched Jaws, and I'd found a little study to go with it. We did E.T., and I have E.T. right here. So this was just a free film study that I printed off the internet, and it was really great because it did talk about, like, opening credits. It talked about the mood, background score, just all the different things that are very interesting and things you need to bring up when you're discussing film. And then just some questions, about the movie, things about symbolism and foreshadowing and just different things like that. So like parallel action, cross-cutting, metaphors, point of views, all those things. And so I found this online for free, so we worked through that as we watched the movie, and that was fun. I also had printed off from Film 101. This was like from a master class, I do believe. What does a cinematographer do? And these were just 21 cinematic technique terms and definitions, and so we would talk about some of these. Nothing huge. I don't know a lot about filmmaking, but we're going to do masterclass next year, so that'll take care of a lot of that. But something I used was, this came from Teach with the Movies, and I've made a video about that before, but this is about film production, using cinematic and theatrical elements in film, and so all this is free, and I just printed this off so I would have it so we could talk about lighting and different shots and sets and things like that. They also give you like assignments, projects, and activities for use with any film that's a work of fiction. And then you also have some discussion questions for use with any film that's a work of fiction. And so we would just use these when we would discuss the different films of Steven Spielberg. And then we stopped that. We only did a half a semester, but we loved it. And we are going to pick it up next year. Now, something that was a miss for us, and it's not the curriculum's fault, it's just we didn't get to it. And it is The Art of Rock and Roll. This is from Torchlight. It looks great. Music is so much fun, and I love this music study because it's music that my son has heard of. It's not like classical music and things like that. Nothing's wrong with that, you guys that love classical music. But I thought this would be a little more relevant to him. But it's The Art of Rock and Roll, and I think we did 2 lessons. And I may have pulled it up like when it kind of related to the history that we were talking about, but we did not use it. So it's here, and I might pull from it, but I don't know. We just really didn't get around to it. He knows a lot about music because my husband, my father-in-law, he used to own a record store in our town. He has since passed away, but when my husband was growing up, he grew up in a record store that eventually sold CDs and tapes and things like that. So he grew up around music, and so he knows a ton about music, and he kind of passed that on to my son. And when they go down and do their weightlifting stuff, they listen to different genres of music and different artists, and my husband shares stuff about them then. And so the music knowledge that my son has, he's kind of learned down in the basement when he's doing weightlifting. So this is not necessarily a miss. I mean, if you're looking for some interesting music curriculum, I would recommend it. It just was a miss for us because we didn't get to it. So, there's that. Now, let's see what else. What else do I want to talk about? Told you, we're going to be here for days. I used a ton of stuff. I'll go ahead and talk about Japanese. I don't have it down here with me, but we do use Talkbox Mom. We do not buy the subscription. I know they recommend it, but we just use the book and the app, and we try to pick phrases that we would naturally use in our environment, and it's a hit. He has learned a lot. I've learned a lot, and we're going to keep doing it. So Talkbox Mom book with the app is a hit for us for foreign language, and I wanted him to know conversational language. I don't care if he can write a sentence. Those things do not matter to me. I want him to be able to talk to other people. And so that is why we use that. It is a hit. Okay, let's see. Other things that we did that were kind of extras. We did the entrepreneurship unit from Gather Round that has slowly become one of our favorite Gather Round units. North American Birds was like always our favorite until we did entrepreneurship in December, and we loved it. So that was a hit. Highly recommend that for all ages. It was a lot of fun. He learned a lot about starting a business. It was great. The other Gather Round unit that we started in January, my plan was to do it on Monday and then work on the other pages throughout the week, was the life skills unit from Gather Round. And so it's like a hit miss because it's a fabulous unit. All of your children should go through it. Very, very practical things that you need to know to be a functioning adult. It's wonderful. The activities are wonderful. The teacher's guide's wonderful. The notebooking pages, everything is really good and purposeful. My son has learned a ton. We were actually able to get through lesson 13. So we finished more than half of it. It was a miss because we didn't get to finish it. With my mom's chemo, it was every other week, and my sister and I would take turns taking her. And so when we went with her, like if it was my turn to go with her, I was gone from about 8 in the morning till about 4 in the afternoon on Mondays, which is when I was going to do this. And by the time I got home, I was exhausted. My son had been doing stuff all day at home. He didn't want to do this. And so we would skip it. So then if it was a day I didn't go with my mom, then I would help my sister out by keeping my niece, who's 3, over at my house. And she is like the most fun human being in the entire world. And so when she's over here, we're doing everything but school. Like we're having balloon parties, we're playing in the sprinkler, we're drawing with chalk. We do whatever Maggie wants to do, okay? And so life skills is not on her agenda. She's 3, she doesn't want to do this. So some Mondays we were able to do it and some we were not, but the ones that we were able to do it on, we loved it. And if you are looking for something to do next year, please put this on your list. This and entrepreneurship should be 2 that you do not miss. This is great, and I hope that we can finish it at some point. I don't know when, but we got through 13 lessons and they are fabulous. Maybe when we get all finished, I can do a review on it, but you do cover things like laundry and executive functioning and things in your kitchen and how to cut the grass, like outside stuff, you know, like simple machines. And this was all about tools in your breaker box and plumbing problems and chores and organization. I mean, it's all in here. It's amazing. Highly recommend it. Hit miss. Now, last thing for this video, then I'm going to let you go because I know I've kept you way too long. The last thing I want to talk about was the science that we used. Now, for us, it was a hit. Is this science going to be for everybody? Absolutely not. And I'll tell you why, okay? So, my son, when he looked at what was needed, or, you know, what you would be required to do if you went to public high school here. We do not have any high school homeschool laws, okay? So, I just looked at what they were requiring at the public school just to have an idea. And when he looked at all the choices for science, he picked my least favorite, chemistry. Chemistry almost killed me in high school. Not really. I mean, it didn't almost kill me, but it was terrible. I'm one of these people, if I just don't know how to do it, like right away, if it didn't just come to me easily, I don't want anything to do with it. And that's how chemistry was. And when he picked that, I really wanted to cry. But lo and behold, you know, Gather Round, they came through, they have a chemistry unit. Now, let me say this. This was a hit for us. We loved it. Now, if you're one of these families, and I'm not saying this is bad, but if you're like hardcore science and you're like, nope, my child's going to be a doctor, they're going in the science field, they're doing amazing, wonderful things, that's not going to be enough for them. You're right, it's probably not going to be. If you have a child that is going to STEM field or medicine or whatever it may be, some kind of brilliant scientist, and they need chemistry, this is not going to be for you. You're going to want one of those more rigorous programs like Berean Builders or Apologia or BJU or anything else that has a lot of that math in it. This doesn't have that. It just doesn't, it's not math heavy, and it's not going to be for you. But if you're like me and you're like, hey, I just want to check chemistry off of our list. This is not something that my child's going to do in college. You know, I just want to check it off the list because we need to get it done. Then yes. You know, if you just want to take a nice, easy, relaxed approach to chemistry, then you want to use this. I love the chemistry from Gather Round Homeschool. It is full of so much useful information. It is chemistry in the real world. If you know, a lot of times kids are like, why do we have to learn this? But if you teach them about things like, why should we learn chemistry? And you're talking about, hey, if you just look up in the sky, there's chemistry happening in the sky. And then there's, let me just go through some of the lessons. If I can find the table of contents, which would just be nice, you know. Since I'm going to talk about it, it should be like right here. All right, so very practical stuff. Chemistry in the real world. So this talks about chemistry that's in your water, in your backyard, in your fridge, in your pantry, in your walls, in your garage, in your mouth, in your body, in your mind, in your medicine cabinet. Fun chemistry, chemistry in the pool, chemistry in the bathroom. Like, you know, very, very practical stuff. That's what I wanted for him. I wanted him to make it relevant to his life, to see that there was a point for him to learn this. Now, here's the thing. You're going to say, well, what if he does want to be a doctor? Or, you know, what if he decides to do something that he has to take chemistry? Well, here's the thing. I have spent my life teaching him how to be a good learner, how to find out the things that he wants to know. And I do believe that if he has to take chemistry in college, he'll figure it out. He's very smart, and I think he'll be just fine. And guess what? I hated chemistry in high school. I actually dropped out of chemistry and took a different class, went to college, never had to take it, and I've been very successful. So I think we're going to be okay. If rigor's your thing and you want that, that's great. Do what you need to do for your kid. But for my kiddo, this was perfect. I love this. Now, I will tell you this. We did not use the student notebook at all. We simply read from that, and he took notes. And I'll show you what that looks like. We didn't even use the notebooking page. I actually bought this little file from Laurel at Land of Kakiak. This is actually for like the Robinson curriculum, but you can use it for anything. And this was just like a science journal. And so I would just put some topics I wanted him to listen out for, and he would just take notes as we were reading the lesson. Sometimes he would draw things. And this is what we used, and it worked out. I mean, you can hardly see. He writes so light. You can hardly see what he's done. But that's what we did. He took notes, and we learned a whole bunch of different things about chemistry. We also made sure that we had the periodic table handy. This came out of our master books that we used, and I'll show you that. We had this handy because we used it an awful lot. The other thing we used an awful lot with it was, let me find it, this book. I love this book. If you're going to do a chemistry unit, you do need the Elements book. It is wonderful. It has wonderful pictures. It gives a write-up about each one of them. It shows you some of the things that it's used in. We love this book. This was utilized every day that we did it. You know, it was great. So we would just spread this out, you know, over the whole year. It's only 20 lessons, so we were not doing this every day. We'd have been done in 20 days. We spread it out, and we used it in conjunction with something else. Now, one thing I do want to show you, if you are interested in getting it for your high schooler, and I took the book apart. I don't know why I did this. I like undid the book. But in the high school one, you do have a 6th page, and I'll just show you like one of them. So like lesson 1, you do have this extra page that goes a little more in depth. It gives you that little more of a high school feel. So there's like 5 other pages or 4 other pages, and then you've got this 6th page. And I'll show you another one. Here's one. This is about valence electrons. So it takes it just a little bit deeper. So it does have that page in it for your high schooler. So we use that. Let me see if there's anything else. To go along with that, I purchased the chemistry experiment book, and I do recommend it. Now, we are not experiment-loving kind of people. Like, we just don't. We don't like them. Every time we try to do something, it doesn't work out, and so we just don't like them. But I knew we needed to pick some, and I wanted him to write up some lab reports just so he would know how to do that. So I do recommend the experiment book. They go with each lesson, so if you have a child that loves this, they would probably love these experiments. I like them because they do give you background information. They tell you what supplies you need. They help you get everything set up. They talk about making your hypothesis, how to test it out. They give you an explanation for what's happening in the experiment, and I really appreciate that. And then how you can take it further. And they do that for each of the lessons. And so we just picked a couple of them, and the ones we did, they actually worked, and we really enjoyed them. I'm just not into burning things and mixing chemicals, and I don't want to do all that. Not in my kitchen. Like, I don't want to do all that. The other thing I purchased was the observation journal. I think there's 2 levels, and I bought level 2. And I'm going to show you a blank one because he may not want me to show you his work. But there is a sheet for each of the experiments. And like this one's blank, but it tells you to record your observations by writing or drawing to show what you learned about oxidation with lemon juice. So, you know, there's plenty of places for them to write. This says control, and then variation 1, variation 2. This is a great little graph like paper, so you could make a chart if you wanted to. And then the back of it is your analysis and observation. And so that's where I made him spend the majority of his time. And then, was your hypothesis correct? And always, you know, why or why not? So I do recommend that book. That was a lot of fun, the ones that we did. And if you like experiments, then there you go. Now, in conjunction with that, and I actually don't even say the textbook. I mean, who even knows where the textbook is? In conjunction with that, we used chemistry and ecology from master books. This really is what made us fall in love with the layout of master books, this and Living Healthy, so that next year we're using more things from master books. But this is actually the teacher's guide. I don't even know where the book is. I have no idea where the book is. But student textbook, teacher guide. And so we like this, and I wish I could show you the lessons, but I don't know where the book is. I mean, I really have no idea. So I took everything out of that teacher's guide, like the scope, the suggested schedule, and then the pages here for each of the lessons. Sometimes we would do these pages. Sometimes I would let him fill it in as we were reading. But what I loved about it is it took those hard chemistry concepts that I was very unsure of how to relay to him. It took it and put it in very easy terms for him to understand. And that's what I wanted. I know that this is recommended like through 8th grade. Yeah, 3rd through 8th grade. But I don't care. Curriculum is a tool. It is to help us learn things. And so I don't worry about the age or the grade level that's on it. I wanted something that could take those difficult concepts and make it easy to understand. And that's exactly what this did. Now, we didn't do any of the properties of ecosystems. We didn't do any of that. I actually did that part with the other child that I teach. He did that part. And then my son did properties of matter and properties of atoms and molecules. We did not do a single experiment out of this book, so I can't speak on that. But we did use the information. We did fill out some of the sheets. We did a lot of the tests just to make sure he was retaining some information from there. And so this was a hit for us. Overall, science was a hit. And I'm so happy to say that we made it through chemistry. And we're done. And I never have to teach chemistry ever again. It's a great thing. So that's all I'm sharing in this one. I told you this was a lot, and so that's why I'm making a part 2. So if you want to hear about our other stuff, then check out next week's video. Don't forget to check out that collaboration. That will be linked down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching.